In this video, we're going to create a domain controller. It will be the root of a new forest, and it will be our first VM created in VMware ESXi 6.5. I've already set up my storage prior to this video. I'll go to Create Virtual Machine. I'll put in TM for Techmore and DC01. Select Windows. I'm installing Server 2012 R2. I like to select 2 CPUs during the installs. Seems to go a little faster. My ISO is already uploaded. Select Finish and let's start it up. Select Next. Install now. We're going to select Server with a GUI. I accept the license. For fresh installs, you're going to use Custom. Here we'll go to Actions, Guest OS, Send Keys, and Control-Alt-Delete to log in. I'll type in my local admin password. Click in sometimes to give it attention if you're typing and it's not showing up. There are a few things we need to do before we can set this up as a domain controller. I'm not sure if this affects 2012, but in 2016, if you do not activate your server install before you promote it to a domain controller, you won't be able to activate it after the fact. Let's open our network sharing, and we're going to change our adapter settings. Right-click Ethernet, Properties, and we're going to set our static IP. We're going to use the following IP address. I have some room up at the top of my subnet. And you're going to want to set it to loop back this address as opposed to just putting in your IP address in case your networking service is up during the boot time. Let's select OK, and now we're going to change the name on this domain controller. Same convention, lowercase tm DC01. Now we're going to need to reboot, which is fine with me. We'll see our name is changed. We know that we changed our IP address and set it as static. Now we can add our role. You would want to update this prior under normal circumstances, but not for this demonstration. It's the second domain Active Directory domain controller services option to install the domain. Next, next. And we'll choose to restart our destination server automatically if needed. Since nobody's connected, it's not really online. Now that we're completed, we can select promote to a domain controller, or we could have gone and clicked on this flag if we had closed this. You can see the options there. Let's go back. We'll add to a new forest. I like to do .lan because if you have a .com or .org as your website and you name your local domain as that way, sometimes you have to adjust DNS records in order to avoid some complications. This is your restore password here if you physically lose the ability to log into the domain controller and can't boot it. The error about the DNS delegation is normal because we are just creating the domain now. The NetBIOS name gets checked. Here you can see the option to store the data on the boot drive. I would recommend, if this was critical, to put it on a D drive. There's a script if you need to redo this process in production. Some informational warnings here, but we still pass. This is normal about supporting the weaker algorithms and things before disabling it. We're going to do install. Okay, the auto reboot. Let's close. And as you see, it's part of the domain. And now we can start managing our domain.